The other day I was on Blue Sky and I made some comment about AI art, and somebody posted this thing that I guess they weren't posting it in mockery, but I thought they were, and I was like, oh my god. And I'm like trying to describe what it was. It looked like somebody's somebody had taken this puppy dog's face, and the puppy dog was emerging from a golden goblet, and it had like all the accoutrements of like a playing card around it, and it was called the Ace of Cups, and it looked like shit. It had that shiny shit look, and also there was no soul in it. It was like this is like some cornball playing card. And so I kind of mocked it. The guy came back and he got really upset with me. First of all, he says, well, this is my art. And I'm like, well, I can tell it's AI art. It's really not very appealing. And there was no message. There was no sense of wanting to involve myself in whatever the picture was about. It had no meaning. It had no soul. I have a few paintings in my house by real artists. In fact, here's one. I have this, just a flower, and I mean, there's all kinds of warmth and humanity in that painting. It looks like something that a person created, and it has the. Here's another one. Same artist. Now, this is kind of abstract, but it's still a thing that I can sit here and there's all kinds of layers to the picture that I can look at, and the colors shine interestingly, and especially a real painting in front of you is an experience because it's not like a flat printed photograph. All the brush strokes are right there, and you can see the humanity in the art. And this guy got really pissy at me because I was literally saying this proves my point. This is soulless and meaningless. And so he gets on, and I have my bass playing is all over my my web presence, and I'm always holding a bass in my hand in my pictures because that's who I want people to see me as. And he gets in there and he's like, well, I bet my kid can play bass better than you, and then blocks me in a rage. I can't feel sorry for you guys, you AI artists. I just can't. You just, here's what's happening, okay? Here's what's happening. You are barging into a space where you have not invested any of your actual effort to understand what the rest of us are doing. Because I consider music and art to be joined at the hip as two forms of human expression that, really require the creator to have a clear purpose. Why do I write a song? Well, I don't just decide I need to write a song today. A song emerges from within me out of a need to say something. Even if the initial need is just a melody that I find really compelling, or a chord progression I just can't get out of my head, I can't stop playing, it's really cool, or a bass line. One of my most well-regarded songs, one that actually gets sung back to me in public when I'm out in these clubs and people recognize me. I spent 8 months playing this bass line. And it had like it's like an ostinato verse and this kind of major chord type chorus that really pops out of this minor ostinato, boom 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 ba dum bum ba bum boom bum ba dum ba da da. And I spent 8 months going, what does this thing say to me, and how do I write words to this? And it finally came to me, the perfect words and the perfect cadences that would give it that feel that here it is. And and I think it was it was actually the chorus I think I came up with first. And it just had this really compelling and meaningful to me. And it has to be extra meaningful to you, the creator, for it to survive this process. Because, I had to feel it to my bones. And it's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my band's favorite songs. It's usually one of the first songs we play on a stage because it's a great way to open a show. And, it consumed me to get it right. And unlike almost most of my songs, I do not spend that much time on. I try to strike while the iron is hot. But this one wasn't ready to strike yet. And I simply had to let it come at me at its own pace. And that's true of all of the songs. Like, as much as I want to just one and done any old song, sometimes the bits and pieces of them float around for months or years before I realize what I can do with them. I also found a scrap of lyrics that I think could have been up to a decade old that I turned into a song the other day. I found them at the front of this ledger type book that I buy lots of these and scribble in them. And like, they're just generalized notebooks. And I've probably got 300 pages of scribbles in my house that are, they're song lyrics. They're, some of them were the math and the mission outline for a Kerbal Space Program game. Like, the rockets Delta V designed and all that. And some of them are just my burblings and meanderings. And I found this quick group of phrases on a piece of paper, and I couldn't even tell you how old it was. I've had these books for over 10 years. And the next thing I knew, it was a song. So, saying that you typed into a prompt and thinking that even comes close to the level of emotional involvement that it takes to write a song or paint a picture like that, which is, that's a lot of work to create something like that. And to think, well, I typed a few words, and then I typed a few more words, and then finally I got what I wanted. And I'm like, I would really like to see how much time they actually think they're spending on it versus how much time a real artist would spend creating something completely original. And that's the other part. It's like, this drawing of the puppy and the goblet and all the other shit, I knew all those elements were stolen from someone else who had their own reason for drawing them and meant something more by it than look at me. And I really feel like a lot of these AI artists are wannabes who are simply, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to make this easy for you. You're simply too fucking lazy to be an artist. That's the problem. And no one is going to be nice to you about it. Art and music require hours and hours and hours of severe dedication to understand the process, develop your own style and your own voice, and do it convincingly so that it looks like you're really an artist. Like, there is a point you will cross, sometimes all at once, sometimes over many years, where it finally becomes apparent to you that you have developed your own way to do it. Like, the way I play my bass is very distinctive. And I'm fairly sure that no one would ever mistake me for another bass player. They would hear me and they'd be like, probably that's Angie. And any painters or real artists I know also, it's like, yeah, I recognize your style. And I know that it didn't happen overnight, and it seemed crude and it seemed stupid and clumsy and ugly as they were learning it. But then one day it just clicked into place. And if you're not willing to put that kind of time into it, don't fucking waste people's time pretending you're an artist. It's ridiculous. Because all of this AI bullshit, because I think it's like a lowest common denominator type thing. Because they tend to choose the ones that have this particular shiny look. They all look like each other's art. There's thousands of wannabe artists all out there trying to be each other. And of course, artists are poisoning their work now so that it can't be sucked in. So people who really innovate, they're already past you, and they will continue to develop and create and grow. And as an AI artist, you can't do that. You cannot grow if you are not developing an actual skill. Because all you have is this database of stolen material that other people put hours and months and years of hard work into, that you're just taking. You're just appropriating it without understanding the underlying meaning that they spent all that time to create. Like that meaning and that whole voice develops over the many, many, many years as you refine how you speak as an artist, how you voice or how you articulate whatever you're doing. That develops with you and becomes part of your presentation. It becomes part of, the kind of things you try to say. Because an artist will have a theme of things they like to say or talk about or paint about or whatever. Again, I'm broadly including music, writing, and art. And don't even get me started about the abomination that is AI writing. It's like so obvious when an AI is doing the writing. It's not even funny. But really, I feel bad that I hurt his feelings a little bit, but I actually don't, because what respect can you possibly expect to have when all you did was type a few words? You refuse to understand that the simple thing that you think takes a few seconds to fart out of an AI machine is in reality would take hours and hours of work. And at some point you would question, why am I doing this? What do I really mean by this? And if you don't want to spend that kind of time in there, it will show and people will say something. And you don't get to cry about it. You aren't the artist. You are using someone else's art and thinking that you can present some idea. And I'm honestly, when I've encountered AI music or AI art, it always baffles me. What the fuck are you trying to do other than like political memes? And I think that, also I think that this AI thing's going to come crashing to a halt very quickly here. Partly because there's been such a widespread rejection of it. A lot of the people who now see it, they see it as just this machine-generated dreck. And it's going to become synonymous with lazy, cheap garbage. And it already is. I mean, people already see AI art as just cheap garbage that, like, doesn't really... and so spare me your crying and whining about how much time you put in on the prompt. Just spare us all, please. And recognize that it's not real art. It has no meaning. It expresses nothing that anyone can feel or respond to. And everyone can tell. And the sooner you guys wake up and just go be a real artist. Like, you would earn an enormous amount of respect as an AI artist if you went, you know what, this isn't satisfying to me, but I can now see what I want to do and like actually go create real art. That would impress a lot of people if you were willing to spend the time. But if you're not willing to spend the time, you will not get that respect, because people aren't respecting some imagined vision or talent. We all have opinions. We all have emotions. We all have things to say. What they respect in the art is how much time and care you took to say it in a way that really reaches out and grabs a viewer. And the real art will reach out and grab a viewer. It will appeal to, it will draw them in. A good painting or even an artfully taken photograph can just make you stop and look. But this AI crap, I'm just like, move on. And the AI music I've listened to has been like, I can't even believe you people think this is music. It's been so bad and so clumsy and so obviously a bunch of shitty samples stitched together around a juvenile joke. Most of it has been just a juvenile dumbass joke. Something I like, okay. And most importantly, there's not a real person in there singing about anything. So it sounds like music. If you put it far enough in the background, it would sound like music, but that's about all it's good for, is like background music. And even then it would get on my nerves because I pay very close attention to music. I'm the person who stands there in the store with you and complains about the music, and like I'm following the song because I'm so sensitive to it that even a few notes floating in the air, I like zero in and try to identify them and figure out what it is. And the AI music, it like in no dimension, at no distance, does it sound like actual music to me. It just sounds like somebody jerking off with a bunch of samples.